Good morning, everyone. This is Kim, and I am here to show you my recent design team project for Country Craft Creations. This is using the Authentique line of paper called Romance, and I think you're going to like this because it's a fast, easy book with a lot of bang for your buck as far as pictures go and the room for things. It is a week before Christmas, and so I know you're probably thinking about making Christmas projects rather than Valentine's, but this could be made into any, can be used for anything you need it to, just depending on your paper. So I'll do a walkthrough first and show you what it looks like, and then I will do a tutorial for you so you can have the measurements and see how the construction of the pages work. It is very easy, so I think it'll be pretty clear to understand. Let me first measure this for you. I don't remember what I measured it at. I know it's okay. It's 8 inches across, and it is about 7 3/4 inches tall this way. It only has a 1/2 inch spine on the bottom and the top, so 1/2 inch on top and bottom. Oopsie. The back is just plain. The front, I love bling and all things feminine, and so I feminined it up even more than it was, if that's a word. It's not. So first of all, I love the collage paper that Authentique usually has in their collections, and so I wanted that to be on the front cover. The flowers are Prima, and also these wood pieces that I have at the top and the bottom are from the flowers. They came in, they were chipboard, but I used the white Wink of Stella on it, and then I put some adhesive on there and put some of that like diamond dust glittery stuff on it, so it's real sparkly. But this is the flowers. It comes with 10 flowers and then the 2 pieces of chipboard, and that's Prima, and you can get that at the store. So I have 4 more to do something with. So this is a cut apart from the collection. I had some lace that I added on either side of the cut apart and added a bling center. It's just a pink flat back crystal. And then on top of this piece, I had a bling pin, and I just broke off the pin part on the back so it would lay flat, and glued that on top just to give it a little more sparkle, I guess. Okay, now as of right now, I don't have a closure on this. It stays closed on its own because I think of the weight that I have on the book. So you might want to do a magnet behind the cut apart, and then on the base part down below, just to keep it shut if you want to, but I didn't see a need to when I made mine. So this is one that does flip up, and so this was just a single page, but my paper was, I cut it a hair too short, so I had to add a pocket with the paper, and as it turned out, I liked it that way. And then I have 2 cut aparts from the collection. I love this whole collection, but it's just so pretty. And I didn't cover the back, so if you have a white chalk pen or something that you want to write on the back, and those just go in this little pocket. So when I do the tutorial, I don't have a pocket because I did not use black paper. I just, like I said, cut a strip from the designer, the decorative paper, and made it into a pocket to cover up my boo-boo. And so this flips up, and there is a place for a 4x6. I glued this cut apart only on 3 sides, so I could put a tag in there if I wanted to. And then it also flips down, and you have another place for a 4x6 photo. Okay, so those fold up nice and neat on the top. Put those back in there, and I think I have one more cut apart that I put on black paper that I could add to. This comes down, and it's just, I left it empty. I did not add anything to it. I left the top open if I wanted to tuck a tag in there. And so the inside, they both fold out like so, and then there are 6 pockets. So there's a pocket, let me move this. There's this pocket, and this is a graphic 45 tag, and I left the back empty. Use seam binding. Now I only use seam binding on the top because this is a thin spine of only a 1/2 inch. it was getting too bulky with all the seam binding. So I took the seam binding out of the inside. So if you wanted to be able to add some dimension, you might want to make your spines more than a ½ inch. So anyway, this is from the collection. It says "You Make My Heart Smile." And like I said, it comes out. And this, I only had 4 of the graphic 45 tags, and so I just used a regular tag and covered it. And I'm going to go back and put a, not a brad, an eyelet here, just because these have eyelets and it looks nicer, so I'm going to add an eyelet here. And then I just put a cut apart behind it because there was room for it. So I just slid that right behind it. And then I glued these cut aparts to the front of the pocket because the paper I selected was a little bit more plain, I guess, doesn't have as much pattern. So I thought it looked good to have the cut apart glued to the top of the pocket. And these are left empty. And I did that for both of these. Okay. Now this is from the cut apart, the punch out page. And it worked just perfectly because my book is 8 inches across. The word romance, it has 7 flags and it fit perfectly along the top. I didn't plan it that way, it just turned out nice that way. Okay, and then on the other side, it's a mirror image. I have the tags over here on this side. I still need to add the eyelet here. And I have one of the cut aparts. And I just put those like so. And then the pocket here with the graphic 45 tag, and then those fold into the center. This flips up, this comes down, and voila. So I think it is a fast, easy gift that would be perfect for, you know, depending on the paper line you use, but what a great gift for someone who maybe is getting married and they want to put some of their wedding engagement pictures in it or something like that. So stay tuned here. I'm going to show you how to construct the base of the book. Those of you who are familiar with my channel probably know that I don't usually go through the matting of the paper. To me, that's kind of a personal preference, whether you want a 1/4 of an inch border or an 1/8 of an inch border. So let's go ahead and do the main construction. So for the base, now this requires no chipboard. This is all just based off of heavy construction cardstock. This is the Artisan cardstock from Country Craft Creations, and so it's very durable, and as you add paper to it, it becomes really not thick, sturdy. So chipboard wasn't needed. So I have 2 pieces cut, and I always have to adjust. Maybe you can see. The lighting is too much. There we go. One is at 8 by 12 and one is at 8 by 6.5. And that's going to be your base. So let's do all the cutting first. So just one of each of those. Like I said, one is at 8 by 12 and one is at 8 by 6.5. For the middle flaps that had the pockets, you're going to need 2 pieces that measure 7 3/4 by 8.5. 2 of those. The top flaps, you're going to need 2 pieces that measure 5 1/4 by 8. 2 of those. And then there will be 6 pockets that we make. And the pockets all measure the same. They're 4 1/2 by 5. Okay, 4 1/2 by 5. And 6 of those. So we'll start by doing our base. So let's start with the 8 by 6.5. And let's place the 6.5 inch side along the top. And you only need two score marks at 3 inches and at 3.5. Okay, I scored that at 3 and 3.5. Next, we'll place the 8 by 12 sheet in the scoreboard. Have the, whoopsie, I almost did that wrong. Have the 12 inches across the top. So let's go ahead and score at 5 and 5.5. Okay. Let's do all the scoring at once and then we'll put everything together. So that's your base. Next, for the middle flaps, this was the 7 3/4 by 8.5 inch page. Go ahead and put the 8.5 inch side along the top, so it's 8.5 long. And I'm going to have you score at 1/2 inch. And what's the other score mark? And at 4.5. Okay, do that to both pieces. 1/2 inch and then 4.5. The top flaps, this is my 5 1/4 by 8 inch paper. We're going to score on the 5 1/4 inch side at 1/2 inch on both pieces. Finally, the 6 pockets, they're all scored the same also. Have your 5 inch side in along the top, 5 inches. Score at 1/2 inch on 3 sides. So if you want to, you can score at 1/2 and 4.5, and then turn it and do 1/2, and do that on all 3 sides. So 1/2 on the 5 inch side across the top, 1/2 and 4.5, turn it once, 1/2 inch. Okay, and those are our 6 pockets. And that's all we have to do for the cutting and the scoring. So now let's do some burnishing and gluing. Get rid of my post-it notes here. So let's return to the base paper, the 2 pieces that we scored, and let's burnish those on the score lines. I use a Teflon burnishing tool and I love it. I probably should get another one. I've used it a ton. It's really dirty. I'm sure if I just washed it, it would be fine. Okay, so you have the 1/2 inch here, and now let's burnish on the other one where we made our 2 score lines. So we're going to attach the piece that is the short piece to the base. Now the way I did this was, now there's going to be a little bit of an overlap, and that's okay. I wanted a little bit more than just a 1/2 inch. And so with this closed, all I did was line up my paper to where this top flap came down. So the shorter piece is on top. So I have it so that the shorter piece is on the top, 1/2 inch at the top, and the longer piece is underneath. And then I'm going to take this one, and both of these are the same, so it doesn't matter. They are equal. All I did was open it up, and I'm going to butt up the paper onto the base and glue it right where that top flap meets. Okay, so it's about an inch, 1.5 inches. Let's see. Yeah, it's about 1.5 inches. So I'm going to place glue on this part. And this is the Art Glitter glue. Okay. And I'm just going to go ahead and line that up, making sure it's nice and neat. And let's go ahead and burnish that so it adheres real well. Now double check the sides and see if you need to trim anything. I see just a smidge over here that I want to trim off. Not much, but nobody would notice it but me. Okay. All right. So now it's the short piece that's at the bottom and the longer flap that's at the top. Let's go ahead and open this up, and we're going to place our side flaps. And we got to burnish those. And so what we're going to do is we want it to be fold like so. So to do that, let me move this. So the 1/2 inch goes down, and we'll burnish that. Okay, so the 1/2 inch is on my left, and now I'm going to take this side that's on the right and fold it over the top to go like so for this one. Okay, so that's how you get your little zigzag. And so we'll do that with both. So we'll have one, let's see. That's for the left-hand side, and now for the right-hand side, you're going to do it just the opposite. I'll show you. So you want the flap to open to the left instead of to the right, excuse me. So it's going to be like so that they open. Okay, so just make sure you have a left side and a right side. Okay. And we are going to glue those down to the center of our base. Now I am going to turn this sideways because it's easier for me to glue that way. And we're going to make sure it lines up with the very edge, but yet we don't want to go over our score marks on the side here. Again, I'm going to use the art glitter glue and make sure I have the right piece here. Yes, I do. And I still haven't found the right wet wipes to dry out to use to get rid of my excess glue. I was using the Walmart, like I've said before, and I hear they changed it, so I don't have one yet. Let me do some quick measuring here to make sure I did 7 3/4. Looks like I'm short. Nope. And make sure they come down fine. And then let's do the other side. Okay, and I'll attach that to the opposite side here. And make sure they line up. Mine do not. So you want to make sure they line up top and bottom. Okay, so now we have this mechanism done. So now it's time for the pockets, and I'm going to put the base pockets down first. So on the pockets, where's my, Let's go ahead and prepare our pockets by taking out the square in the bottom corners, and I do that at an angle. And then I do miter the top at an angle. And then the other square on the bottom. So it looks like so. And then we burnish all of the score marks. All right. And you do that to all 6, and I've already done it to the other 5. And I'm going to bring back my base page in, and these should be just the right size. If I put 2, always do a dry fit first. Make sure that you don't have to do any adjusting. And I do. What? Nope, it works. Whew, I was scaring myself there for a second. Okay. Yep, okay. All right, so that's why we do a dry fit. I was like freaking out, but nope, they're right. So we want to go as far to the sides as we can without going over the score mark. And I'm using again the art glue, art glitter glue. I used to use the score tape on this part, but it's more economical for me to use the glue, and it's just a little bit easier. So let me make sure that will fold. Okay. Get my burnishing tool. And let's do the other one. They need to butt right up. Now see, this isn't going to close. I'm going to have to trim just a hair. My measurements must be off just enough. So it's an easy fix. All I need to do is score a little bit more on the inside and fold it, and that should do the trick. So I want my pockets to be nice and perfect. So I'm going to go over just a hair and then refold it and burnish and see if that does it. Let me fix the bottom here. All right, so let me try that. And that works. Okay. Go ahead and glue that down. And the bottom here. All right. Adhere it real well so that it sticks. If you have any excess glue, get rid of that. Make sure your door's closed. You might want to burnish again just to make sure you have a real flat inside here. Okay, and now we add the doors to the inside and the outside of the flap. So I'll work with one side and then I'll move to the other. Again, let's do a dry fit. Make sure that it's the right width, and it is. So even though I did some prepping ahead of time, time-wise, this goes super fast. And because you can add pictures and tags and stuff in these 6 pockets, I think you can add just the right amount of pictures. Some of us don't take 50 pictures of something, and so we need a smaller album. Okay. Burnish. Excess glue. And burnish again to make sure it lays flat. It's paper, we will make it work. We don't want it too fat. And then we do our last pocket then on the outside. Let me make sure this works. And it does. And you know, I'm one of those people who I just sit down. I don't really have anything really in mind when I sit down and start making an album or a folio or whatever. I just kind of dig in and go with it. I have usually, you know, a small idea of what the cover, like, am I going to have a gatefold or, but as far as the inside construction, I just kind of play it by ear and go with it. So none of these things that we're doing are, you know, this would be great for a beginner because there's not a lot of interactive things that require a ton of measurement and manipulating. So this would be a great starting project. Okay, and now we're going to continue to do the other side. Do a dry fit. Yes, indeed. So in the comments below, I would love to know, how do you design your books? Like, do you draw it out first? Do you do the measurements first? Do you work as you go? Do you have a basic idea in your head and then just go with it? I know everybody does it kind of a little bit different. I write down the measurements as I go. And we don't want any overlap. Burnish. And some people don't design at all, they just use tutorials, and that's awesome. That's why we do this. I will tell you, if you didn't know this, I didn't design my own album until I became a design team member for Country Craft Creations. I had never made my own from scratch. I made a lot of tags, and those were my ideas, but as far as an album, my first one was a Blue Fern album I did. Something Attic, is it Grandma's Attic? No, Attic Charm. That was the very first album that I designed on my own, and I was worried the whole time. I mean, it kind of gave me confidence. At the same time, the end result, I was like, you know what? I did it. That worked out pretty good. So sometimes we just got to dig in and try. And once you've made a couple, then you can kind of see what things you like to do or have in your albums and incorporate those into your own measurements that will work for you. And the last pocket. Make sure it's lined up. Bad thing about black paper is I get glue on my hands really easy and then it shows up, but we're covering that with our paper so it doesn't show, but ooh, it looks tacky in the process. I don't know how people cannot get glue on their hands when they are doing this. My hands are always filthy when I'm done, especially with black paper because the black sticks to it. All right, and so there you have it. That is that part right there. And now the top. I'm going to turn it upside down. So this is really the top. And then we have 2 pieces left, and we just need to burnish those on the 1/2 inch score line. And we're going to put one near the top and one near the bottom of that top flap. Okay, line it up. Check all 3 sides that you're not going over. And I am a hair on that side. There we go. And press down. Open it up, get rid of any excess glue. Now I'm going to turn it this way. I didn't burnish my other one. I got to do that real quick. And that's going to go up against the score line, but not going over that 1/2 inch score mark. Make sure your page can go down without having any interruption from the paper. And this is our last piece, and then we have accomplished, I'm going to turn it a little bit, our folio. Make sure there's no overhang. Now this is at the point where you need to decide if you want a magnet, because you want to put your magnet on before you attach your designer paper. If it's a strong magnet, that works well, just because it's going to be going through some layers of paper. Alright, so if you wanted a magnet, you would put it here, and then it just folds down, and like the weight of the book on the top and the decorative paper added, it'll stay shut. So opens up, flap down. We have the flaps in the middle that come out with pockets, and if you want, you can add a pocket down here, but I just left that open. So all right, so let me show you the final project one more time. This was what we just created, and so you can see that once you put your paper on, it turns out beautiful, no matter what paper you use. So I would love to see your projects on the Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations page if you make one, and let me know that you used the tutorial, and I'll definitely take a peek at what you made, and I'm sure I'll love it. So thanks for watching. Again, this is for Country Craft Creations. They have an online store, and it's fast shipping, it's wonderful customer service, good prices. The owner, if you have questions, she answers them very promptly. You won't be disappointed by the store, I can tell you that. So thank you for watching. Like I said, it's a week before Christmas. I wish all of you a Merry Christmas. I'm hoping that we have a year of health and happiness. And I am thankful for the friends I've met through being on the design team and on Country Craft Creations. Blessed Christmas to everyone. Thank you for watching.